Today, you'll learn how to make a simple choose-your-own-adventure story with Twine. Twine is a website which lets you make interactive choose-your-own-adventure stories for other people to read and play. With Twine, you can make different parts of a story link together and let your reader choose which path to take through your story. You can make really simple stories, or you can make more complicated games, quizzes, and all sorts of other interactive activities. First, you're going to go to the website twinery.org. If you're on a desktop computer or laptop, you can download a free app for Twine which allows you to use it without the internet. But if you're on a phone or tablet, you will need to click on the button that says Use in your browser to get started. So let's do that. This is a short introduction you can read about how to get started on Twine. We'll just click on the skip button for now. This is the page that will list all the stories you will create. Click the plus new button to create a new blank story. It will ask you to give your story a name. Let's just go with My First Story. You can change the name at any time. Once you've pressed create, then you'll see the story map screen. Twine uses things called passages and links. The passages are like the pages in your story, and the links are how your reader or player navigate through the story and make choices, like turning to a different page in a book. The story map screen shows all the passages and links you'll create for your story. The passage, which has a green rocket ship icon next to it, is the starting passage. This is what will come up first when you read or play your story. To start writing, make sure the Passage tab is open in the toolbar. That's the menu at the top of the screen. Then tap on your first passage and then tap the Edit button in the toolbar. This will bring up a box where you can type your story. Think of this as like the first page of your story. It's the first thing your reader will see. You can change the name of your passage by pressing the Rename button in the toolbar at the top of this box. You can name it anything you like, but remember that you will need to type this name again if you want to link it up with another page in the story. I recommend naming it something to do with the story or a choice the reader needs to make, instead of just using numbers like in a book. For example, if the passage is about choosing what to eat, you could name it What to Eat. For this passage, I'll name it Introduction. That's because it's the beginning of the story and that's easy to remember. So let's press OK. Now you can write the beginning of your story in the empty box. Instead, you could create a main menu like in a video game with a title and a play button. Now you want to add a link so your player can continue your story. To do this, put 2 square brackets around a word or phrase that will be the name of your next page. So let's find that. This button, then 2 square brackets, 2 square brackets, begin story. This link can be anywhere on your page, like in the middle of a sentence or at the end of your paragraph. You can use any name you want, but remember this will be the name of your next passage, so try to keep it simple. You can also have as many links as you want in each passage, but make sure you can keep track of your story and not get confused by having too many links and too many pages. Once you've made your link successfully, the brackets around it will turn blue, as you can see there, and a new page will be added to your story automatically. So to see that, click the X icon to see your whole story map again and your new passage. This arrow shows you which direction your players can go in your story. You can also link a passage back to one you've already made, like if you want your reader to go back to the beginning of your story. All you need to do is open the passage you want to put a link in, like we've done, and then type the name of the passage you want to link back to in between the brackets. Let's do that. So our first page is called Introduction, and you can see it is coming up there, suggestion, so we can click on that. Okay, if we go back to our story map, we can see that the arrow is on both ends now. Remember, you need to type the passage name exactly as you wrote it the first time, including the same capital letters, spaces, and punctuation. So, to play or read your story, go back to the story map, like we are here, then tap on the Build tab on the toolbar at the top, so up here. Then tap the Play button. This will open a new tab where you or someone else can play your story. Your links will be in blue, You might see a grey arrow on the left side. This is like an undo button, so if you make a choice in your story you didn't like, you can go back a passage and try again without starting your story from the start. Click on there, and there it is. To go back to editing your story, close the tab that you're playing your story in. If you want to delete a passage from your story, tap on the passage, making sure you can see your whole story map. Let's click on that one, go back to passage, and then click delete. You won't be able to delete your introduction passage. Do you want to create drafts of a story or maybe different versions if you want to experiment with different things? You can duplicate your Twine story and work on different versions at the same time. So if you have the story map open, then tap the back button above the new passage button in the toolbar. This is not the same as the back button in your browser. This takes you back to your saved Twine story screen again. Tap once on your story, but don't open it again. Then tap the duplicate button in the toolbar next to the rename button. A new copy of your story with a number 1 at the end will appear. You can rename the story if you want to, something like version 2 or draft 2 for example. A really important thing to learn is how to save and back up your Twine story so you don't lose it, or you can go back if you make a mistake. Twine stories are only saved to your tablet's browser, which is the app you use to get onto the internet, like this one, and can easily be deleted by accident. If you have an iPad or an iPhone, like this one, your Twine stories will be deleted after a week of not opening them, so it's extra important to save them somewhere else. First, go to the Build tab in the menu at the top. This is the same place you go to play your story. Then, click the Publish to File button. This will save your story onto your tablet so it can be shared with other people and so you can come back and continue it later. Let's press download. Try to remember to save often, like every time you write a new passage of your story. To open your story again, if it's disappeared or you've emailed it to yourself to continue at home, click on the Library tab on the Stories menu and then tap on Import. Click on Choose File down the bottom and then select your Twine file where you saved it to. So it will be a HTML file like this. Then click the checkbox there, which stories you want to import, My First Story, and then import selected files. If you feel like you've really got the hang of everything else to do with Twine so far and you want to add something visual to your story, then here's how. This technique requires a little bit of coding in HTML, which is the language that computers understand the internet in. But don't worry, you don't need to learn HTML. All you need to do is copy out a line that will be on the screen. First, you need to find an image and get the URL for it. The URL is the address for the image, just like your home address is where you and your family live. Let's try finding an image on pexels.com. Open up a new tab, and in the bar at the top of the screen, type in pexels.com. Once the website loads, type in what image you want in the box in the middle. So let's just put in egg and press search. So now pick an image you like. So let's go with this one and tap on it. Now we want to get the URL for this image. So tap your finger on the image and hold it there. Now drag your finger without taking it off the screen until you get to the top of the screen. Till you see this plus button, then let go, and a new tab should open which has the image and a blank background. If this didn't happen, just keep trying. Now tap and hold down the box at the top of the screen. Tap on the copy button down here on the keyboard. And now I've got the URL of that image. Let's go back to our Twine story by finding the tab at the top with your story name on it. Open up the passage you want to add your image to, edit, then tap and hold the place in your passage where you want your image to be. Now select paste, and the URL for the image should appear. Finally, let's go back to the beginning and type this on the left side of your URL. And then this on the right side. Okay, let's exit out of that and play our story by going to build and then play. And let's see if the image comes up. If it doesn't come up and only text appears or a blank image, then go back and check the previous steps to make sure you did them right. Now, as you can see, that image was quite big. So if we would like to make that a bit smaller, we can add a bit more to our code here. So let's put in width, and let's put in 50%, and then height. And there we go. It's a bit smaller now.